Hey everybody, this is Heartless Spartan here with another 1/6 scale Toy Talk review. Today I have the Inart Premium Edition Aragorn figure from The Lord of the Rings. Now this is my first figure from Inart and I can already say that I like what I'm seeing. It's a step up in quality and design within my collection. Of course the Inart figures are also a bit more expensive, but I found that in this hobby the extra detail can be well worth the additional cost. Now, I've enjoyed Tolkien's novels, and I love the Peter Jackson films. They were actually the very first movies I ever purchased on VHS back in the day with my allowance. Anyways, without further delay, let's get the figure opened up. Alright, so taking a look at our box outside the box, because it's got a whole box within a box thing going on. It does come with this green sleeve with the Lord of the Rings and the Aragorn logo painted on there. But this slides right off. I'll just kind of set this off to the side there. Then we get this nice kind of fabric cover going all the way around the box. And we get this really cool, shiny, the one ring on the outside here, but it also spins, which is just kind of a nice little neat touch there. So I'm going to go ahead, open this up. Hopefully I won't have stuff fall out when I'm trying to do this. But we have a operation guide and some other tidbits in there, and we can look at that a little bit later. And we'll just go through each layer of the foam here. There's some stuff falling out. There goes the silica packet. Little neck peg there, silica packet. We have the main body, some of the hands, the bloodied hands included in the premium edition, as well as the rooted head sculpt in his own little jar right there. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and pull that out so we can take a look at the next layer. So this layer is pretty thick, mainly because of that jar that has the rooted head sculpt in it. Alright, so it's not just because this is vertical, but I did notice when I briefly opened this before recording that some of the stuff does get jostled around on the inside and comes loose. So I'm kind of not surprised that some of this stuff fell down. But we have that layer there. Then we have our premium edition included with the Shards of Narsil. I have a cold right now, so I'm kind of saying all these names super weird. And I'm going to go ahead and pull that layer out as well. Probably going to watch everything tumble down. Oh, I did it. Okay. And then we have our bottom layer there. Looks like some cloaks and blankets and our magnetic base. I do believe... Yep, that's our last layer. Alright, so now I'm going to take everything out of the box, out of the foam packages and wrappers, and I'll have everything set out, and then we could go over each piece. Alright, so here we have everything out of that box and out of all of their little wrappers. Now, the first things I'm going to kind of point out, yeah, he's headless. His head's in the nice little preservative jar just to kind of keep his hair from getting messed up in shipping and transit and storage and all that. So we'll be taking that out to take a closer look at that. So I'm actually going to do that right now. Let's pop that open. Actually, there we go. That's how to do that. Take the bottom out. Put that back on the top. And I'd rather just kind of hold this up to the camera instead of picking them up by hand. Now, it's not super styled. As we can see, we have a few hairs popping up. Now, they said in the instructions to just use like a wet brush with a little like water gel, whatever that is. I'm not sure what that is. I'd have to look into that. And just be careful around the face to kind of style the hair that you want it and try to keep it from springing up. But the head sculpt looks really nice. How can I... There we go. So that just pops right off that stand there. Let's take a closer look at this. Let's part his hair out of the way and get a look at his face. One of his eyes is off to one side, but that's because he has movable eyes. And we'll get to that momentarily. The skin tone and the beard and the eye color and that, I mean, that looks fantastic. This looks really good. I like it. And, I mean, that is pretty darn close to Viggo Mortensen right there. Really do like this head sculpt. I do like that they sort of pre-styled the hair already, which is fantastic. That's a lot of work. I don't know how to do that. Just needs a little bit of fixing up after that storage and transport. But like the kind of curls in the hair and that a little bit, or the waviness, I should say, looks really good. And it has some conditioning in it to where it will keep its shape a little bit. So you don't want to use too much water if you use anything, to kind of style his hair a little bit more the way that you want it. But I mean, that looks fantastic. And it's rooted all the way around. His eyes, though, if we look in there, there's two little levers. So you have to basically go up inside his head and adjust the eyes. Now, I really like the levers on this. They're large levers. They poke out. And it's very easy to adjust those eyes. Whoop. There we go. That's a little bit better. Just got to be careful not to push one when you're pushing the other. Otherwise, he'll go cockeyed. But yeah, that would take some time to get used to kind of moving those around to get that look that you want from that head sculpt, which is fantastic. Now, we saw this neck peg fall out. Now, I do believe... Is this going to go in like this? Yeah, so this is going to insert behind the levers for the eyes. And then that. You have to be careful not to catch his hair. Alright, good enough for now. I'm trying my best to get it all on camera. I'd have to adjust the eyes and take my time with that later. But once we have the head sculpt on there, it looks pretty good. It looks really good. Now, I think my camera's just making his head look a little bit small, though. But that's alright. Now, his outfit, I mean, his cloak, I mean, this looks fantastic. It's a very nice, thin, light fabric that they made look like that kind of foul leather. And it looks really good all the way around. Adjust that a little bit. There we go. And of course, he's got like a tunic in that underneath. It's already pre-tied for us. The boots look really great. They're a nice soft fabric. I did notice pulling him out of the box, though, earlier, that the joint was loose on the feet, and I had to kind of pop the feet back in. And I was able to do that without taking the boots off. So it had me worried at first, but it was something easily fixed. Nice weathering on the boots. Then, of course, he has Boromir's, would it be Gondorian bracers? Yeah. Well, he has Boromir's bracers on. And they're pre-attached for us. Now, I do believe they're optional So these straps are actually functional, and we can take those off if we want. Now, articulation, we get good head sculpt movement. Now, you don't want to mess with it too much. You will get really good head sculpt movement with it being the soft hair. So you can get poses that you wouldn't with the standard edition with the sculpted hair. But it will start to de-style that a little bit. So, of course, we get good head roll. Arm motions. Hands on the ball joints. I kind of wish they included some extra wrist pegs for us just in case of the event of things going awry on us. Same with the other arm. Motion is really good, and this material is nice and thin, so you can get some really good range of motion. It's not really limited by his outfit that he's got on, which is fantastic, and will result in some good poses. How about the waist? Ball-jointed waist, and the legs. And his tunic is designed so that he can actually move. What's he got on underneath? Oh, he's got like a shirt on under there too. Nice. Legs bend back pretty far too. And yeah, double jointed knees. He could do the splits if you really wanted him to. And then ball jointed ankles. Fantastic. So you can get some really good poses out of this figure. So I'm going to have to set him... Well, actually, before I move on to the accessories, I do want to compare the rooted head sculpt compared to the sculpted head sculpt. Now, I did end up with the standard edition because this wasn't available yet from the place I was buying from, so I jumped at the opportunity to get the Inart standard Aragorn. And then it got shipped and delivered, and I opened the box, and then, like, the next day this one became available. I'm like, oh, if only. Now, so here is the sculpted one compared to the rooted haired one with the movable eyes. Do they both have movable eyes? Oh, they do. Okay, so they both have movable eyes. But just as a comparison there, I really do like the brown color of the rooted. But if you're worried about dealing with the rooted hair, the standard edition would be the one to go with. Especially if you have other figures from, like, say, Ace Toys, and a lot of them are sculpted hair. But I have a mix of both where they're rooted and sculpted, and it's still a pretty good collection. But those look pretty good. Granted, I'd have to adjust the eyes a little bit on the rooted hair one a little bit more so that he doesn't look a little bit as goofy. Now, the head sculpt, like the face sculpt, those are the same. The only thing that's different is the hair. So if one head looks a little bit smaller than the other, it's due to the hair. There's no difference between the actual head sculpts. It's just a trick of the eye, is what that is. So I'm going to set him off to the side for now, along with his clone. And then we'll take a look at our accessories. Okay, so let's take a look at this first. Now this here, I think this is just going to be more or less the bedroll. It's listed as a marching blanket. Now, I don't really want to go through the process of, like, untying all this and rolling it out because, I mean, this looks pretty good as it is, and I don't think I would ever actually just display the figure like he's gonna camp for the night. I think most of the time I'll just have him kind of carrying it. It is a nice fabric. It has a good worn wash to it too, so it looks really nice. Along with the kind of foul leather strap here. Then we have a bundled cloak. It's kind of almost like another blanket of sorts. This is much thinner fabric than the blanket, but this also has a nice worn look to it as well. Like everything that he has seen some good use. Now we also have yet another cloak. Now this one has the hood. Ah, yes, and it is the Fellowship Cloak. The little green leaf brooch right there. I would be just a little bit careful about pulling on that. At least here it does look like it's sewn. I've had other figures where it was just kind of glued on and it fell off. But this looks like it's actually going to stay on there nice. The material is just a little bit thin, but it does give us that nice kind of green color, but also has that kind of rocky look to it, which is pretty neat. Of course, our kind of popularized medieval hood there. Even though that'd just make you cold if you wore that. Alright. Next, we have our quiver. Not too sure what this is for stuffed in there. Have to take a closer look at the directions. I think it might actually be maybe to wrap the arrows. I'm not sure. What is that for? Yeah, that's odd. I think this might just be like a kind of filler. So I'm going to set that off to the side. Maybe I'll figure that out when I put things together. So the quiver is a type of plastic painted very well to give it that nice shiny leather look to it. Very nice. And of course, it does come with 4 plastic arrows, some nice painting on there, and those will fit fairly well into our quiver. Now we also get a drawn bow with the string already unwrapped and tightened. Now it can be pulled just a little bit, but I wouldn't put too much pressure on that. I don't know if that'll snap or not, because this feels like plastic right here. So just be aware of that. And then we have our undrawn bow with, is that an actual string? Yes, so there is an actual string wrapped around this, as though it's stowed to be carried. And then that is just going to be set into there like so. Then, you know what? I'll save that for later. But here, I have it backwards. If I can get it to turn around. There we go. We have this, if I'm saying it right, it's the Evenstar, which looks fantastic. That'll look good put on him. I cannot tell if it's metal or not, unfortunately. It's just one of those things that's just too small to the touch for me to kind of figure that one out. Now here we also have his sword that he used as a ranger. Now this is metal. Just a little bit pointy at the end. Be careful with that. But this looks just fantastic and has just a little bit of weight to it. And of course, comes with a nice scabbard for that as well. Oh, that's what they meant by double scabbard. So, we also get a little metal knife here too. So this can actually go there in this mini scabbard on the side. And then his sword slide nicely into the large one. Now we also get an elven scabbard and an elven blade. A little bit of writing on there. This also feels metal. Pretty lightweight though. But I can tell it's a little bit of metal. And that will slide. Now of course the blades aren't sharp. So you're not going to cut yourself on there. It's just the ends are pointy. It's a tighter fit for this one, but it does go in nice. And I'm kind of glad that it's a little bit tight, so that way like the blades aren't constantly sliding out. Because that gets really annoying when you're trying to put them on the figures and pose them. Now he also comes with this. There's not much to it. But it's just supposed to be like a little leather pouch. It's not actually leather. It's just maybe like resin cast and painted with a little pretend rock in there as a whetstone for sharpening. And it has a little clip on the back too, so it'll go easily onto a belt. Next, of course, we have his smoking pipe. I really like that there's this nice black gradient on there. And even looks like a little bit of ash texture on the inside there too. That's cool. I like that. So that's pretty nice. And we have a nice leather belt here. This is actually a nice belt. It has a little bit of shine to it. A little bit of design. Anything on the buckle? Ooh. I like that. Even has like this little cloth pouch wrapped on there already. That's cool. And we get a pair of hands with his ring on one hand. Really like the amount of like dirt wash that they put on these. That looks really good. Then get a couple other. Why do we have like duplicate fists here? That's kind of strange. There's a slight difference. Not too sure what the point of that is, though. Okay. And then we have like a bow hand here. Unless I was supposed to get a hand that was gloved and they accidentally gave me the wrong one or something. I don't know. But we have this here for holding the fletching of the arrow. Or just behind the fletching to pull the drawstring of the bow back. Now, in the premium edition, we get a set of bloodied hands that are a little bit relaxed. Which looks a little bit freaky, but kind of cool. And we also get the Shards of Narsil, which I think Anduril is the sword that they forge out of the shards, which is pretty cool. So each one of these does pop out of this. I just don't really want to lose anything on my workbench here. But these do feel metal, and they don't seem to want to pull easily. Just be careful, it is quite a bit pointy. But that is pretty cool. Yeah, so while there's not really like a set out for that statue and that table that holds this, that would be something quite interesting to make. We also get this kind of stone platform stand. It's plastic. It's painted up real nice. Has a little bit of grass added onto there, which is pretty cool. Now, this bottom actually does open up so you can access the magnets on the inside. So you can kind of move those around a little bit depending on how you're posing the figure on the top and how you want him to stand up there. So if I put that back on there, lock that back in place. So it's a magnetic stand, which means his feet have metal or magnets in there. And we don't actually need anything wrapping around his waist. And he stands up quite well on his own. Now, a couple other things that came with this was our handy-dandy operation guide, which has been quite helpful even just kind of unboxing this. So it includes a ton of information, and it's not all in a foreign language. It's also translated in English for us. But it kind of tells us, like, I didn't know how to open this and move those at first. So it's got some very useful information in there about how to kind of put things together and handle things nicely. And I also came with one of these. Not exactly sure what this is. Just kind of like a proof of purchase kind of deal. Looks kind of neat. Not sure what I'd do with that though. Don't know what that is. Maybe what is it? Quality control ticket. Then came with this nice little letter from Inart. I'm not going to read it out loud, but I will just kind of show it on screen. So I'll kind of pull that up and hold that up. And put that back away. So, it's a very nice figure. It is a step up from what I've gotten in the past, which is one of the reasons why I got it. It looks amazing. Now, I will be putting this together, and I will do my best to record that. And I'll have that link to that video posted down in my description. Or it'll pop up on the screen somewhere here too. And then I can get into a montage. So this Aragorn figure was definitely a step up in quality and detail within my collection. For the majority of the outfit and fabric accessories, Inart used materials that actually gave it a realistic and authentic look, such as the outer tunic looking a bit more like a leather, but so much also had a worn and weathered look to it that added to that realism, like it has seen plenty of use. Boromir's vambraces on the forearms looked fantastic and easily slide on and off after removing the hands. The hands, however, have a magnet on the inside with a peg. While this helps with attachment, it worries me about replacements down the line. I would love it if all 1/6 scale manufacturers would include extra wrist pegs with their figures. I did have a bit of difficulty with changing the hands, but I feel that's more on me than it was the hands and the pegs. The weapons were made with a light metal and had a good look to them. The etchings in the Elven Dagger were especially nice. I have become a fan of well-executed rooted hair on male figures, and I'm happy to say I have no regrets with buying the premium version here. I was initially worried that the hair was going to come out of the box looking quite wild. I also really like that more companies are switching to these magnetic-style bases that allow the figure to seamlessly attach to the base, so long as the legs and ankles allow the figure to stand on their own. Overall, this is a fantastic looking Aragorn figure, and as I'm getting further and further into growing my collection and putting together various scenes, I am quite happy with paying a bit more for the premium edition so I can utilize some pieces for later scenes. Even if I don't use them right away, I'll have them for later, like the Shards of Narsil. I hope you've enjoyed the video and found it somewhat helpful. Be sure to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Be sure to leave a comment. It's always nice to hear good things from the community. This has been Heartless Spartan. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.